Why do atoms react? Ns. Atoms react to form chemical bond and achieve stability by acquiring inert gas electronic configuration. Why is the bond between an electropositive and an electronegative atom ionic in nature? Ans. Electropositive atom can lose electron easily and forms a positive ion, whereas electronegative atom can accept that electron easily and forms a negative ion. In this way, oppositely charged ions are attracted by electrostatic force of attraction to form ionic bond. Ionic compounds are solids. Justify. Ns. Ionic compounds have strong electrostatic force of attraction between positively and negatively charged ions, which holds them together in a three-dimensional crystalline or solid form. E.g., sodium chloride, NaCl, is crystalline solid. More electronegative elements can form bonds between themselves. Justify. Ans. More electronegative elements do not lose electrons. To complete their octet, they share electrons between their own atoms and form covalent bonds. Metals are good conductors of electricity. Why? Ns. Electricity is produced as a result of movement of free electrons. Metals are good conductor of electricity as they have free or mobile electrons which move freely in the space between atoms of a metal. Ionic compounds conduct electricity in solution or molten form. Why? Ns. Ionic compounds in solid state are bad conductor of electricity because ions are tightly packed and unable to move, whereas in solution or molten form ions can move freely, which make them good conductor of electricity. Differentiate between lone pair and bond pair of electrons. Ans. Bond pair. The electrons that pair up to form a chemical bond are called bond pair electrons. Lone pair. The non-bonded electrons pair available on an atom is called lone pair of electrons. These electrons do not take part in bonding. Describe at least two necessary conditions for the formation of a covalent bond. Ans. Conditions for the formation of covalent bond. Elements should be electronegative in nature. Bonding atoms should have equal or very small difference in their electronegativities. Number of electrons in their valence shell should be 4 or more. Why HCl has dipole-dipole forces of attraction? Ans. In HCl, chlorine being more electronegative attracts the shared electron pair towards itself with greater force. A partial negative charge is created on chlorine and in turn partial positive charge on hydrogen. When partial positive and partial negative charges exist at different poles in a molecule, the adjacent molecules will arrange themselves in such a way that negative end of that molecule comes near to positive end of other molecule. It results in a net force of attraction called dipole-dipole interaction. What is a triple covalent bond? Explain with an example. Ans triple covalent bond is identical to when each bonded atom contributes 3 electrons, 3 bond pairs are shared and a triple covalent bond is formed. It is indicated by. Example of molecules with triple covalent bond are nitrogen, N2, and ethine, C2H2. What is the difference between polar and non-polar covalent bonds? Explain with one example of each. Ans. Non-polar covalent bond. It is a bond formed between 2 similar atoms, homoatoms. The shared pair of electrons is attracted by both the atoms equally. Examples: the bond formation in H2, Cl2, O2, N2, etc. Polar covalent bond. It is a bond formed between 2 different types of atoms, heteroatoms. The bond pair of electrons will not be attracted equally by the bonded atoms. Examples: the bond formation in HCl, HF, H2O, etc. Why does a covalent bond become polar? Ans. When there is difference in the electronegativities between 2 covalently bonded atoms, there will be unequal attraction for the bond pair of electrons between such atoms. More electronegative atom gets and less electronegative atom gets. In this, a covalent bond becomes polar, e.g. HCl, H2O. What is the relationships between electronegativity and polarity? Ans. Polarity of a covalent bond depends upon the difference of the electronegativities of the bonding atoms. Greater is the difference in the electronegativities of the bonding atoms, more polar will be the covalent bond. Why does ice float on water? ANS. At OC, ice has a lesser density, 0.917 gcm3, than water, 1.00 gcm3. In the liquid state, water molecules move randomly. However, when water freezes, the molecules arrange themselves in an ordered form that gives them open structure. This process expands the molecules that results in ice being less dense than water and causes it to float on the surface of water. Give the characteristic properties of ionic compounds. ANS. Characteristic properties of ionic compounds. Ionic compounds are mostly crystalline solids. Ionic compounds are good conductors in solution and in the molten form. Ionic compounds have high melting and boiling points. For example, sodium chloride has melting point 80 C and boiling point 1423 C. Ionic compounds dissolve in polar solvents like water. What characteristic properties do the covalent compounds have? ANS. Characteristic properties of covalent compounds. They are usually bad conductors of electricity. However, polar compounds are conductor of electricity when they dissolve in polar solvents. They are usually insoluble in water but are soluble in non-aqueous solvents like benzene, ether, alcohol, and acetone. Large molecules with three-dimensional bonding form covalent crystals which are very stable and hard. They have very high melting and boiling points.